Okay, then. If that is the case, then we can progress. As I said, I'm Samson Okari. I'm an enthusiast of Excel, and I would like to take us through some useful Excel keyboard shortcuts, which I know that most of us already know, but maybe the issue could be that we don't use them on a regular basis. But I usually advocate that you use them because they really help in making us become more and more conversant with Excel and become Excel gurus. So on the next slide, I'm sharing a number of Excel shortcuts, and you can see it's like I'm calling them a Control A, Control B, Control C, all the way to Control Z. And I'll show you how this can really help us in navigating and working around Excel instead of using a mouse. So you learn how to use them frequently so that it's possible that you don't need to use a mouse every other time, because it takes a lot of time to use a mouse. So straight away, we will start with the first one, which everyone knows, that is Control plus A. So if you press Control plus A, what it does is that it selects the entire workbook. So that if you wanted to do something with the entire workbook, it's easy for you to highlight the whole of the entire workbook, of course, where there's data, so that you can use it to do whatever you want. If you wanted to copy it to another worksheet, it's easy for you to do that because you do Control A. Instead of highlighting the whole of it using the mouse, it can take you a long time to highlight the whole of the data. So you just press Control A and you'd have highlighted the whole of the data, and therefore you can now copy it wherever you want, or you can work out anything that you want to work out in that Excel worksheet or workbook. Of course, everyone knows about Control B, which bolds or unbolds highlighted text. So that, for example, if this text that I'm highlighting here, the whole of column B, I press Control B, I'll bold it. And if I want to unbold it, I'll again press Control B, so that my whole text in column B is not in bold, but because description, I want it to be in bold, I can go back and do Control B. Now, the next one is Control C. You can see I'm going Control A, Control B, Control C. You need to master them and remember them. So Control C, which most of us know, or every one of us knows, is one that copies selected text. So if I want to copy this selected text here, for example, I'll press Control C. And as you learn later, under Control V, which pastes data stored in the clipboard into currently selected cell, I can come and paste it on cell, for example, D4, Control V. So I can copy and paste it elsewhere with ease. Later on, we'll learn about special paste, especially for formulas. Because if, for example, we say here, we have 45, and here we have 10, and we are saying this should equal to 45 times 10, which gives that. If I try to copy the same way, Control C, and paste it here, you see it does not copy the formula. So because of that, it would be important if you copy and paste special, so that if you want to paste the text, you can paste the text, or if you want to paste the formula, you can still paste the formula. So you will need to, once you've copied it, for example, we copied the 450, and you want it to be text, we need to right click and paste special. You can see paste special there, and you go and determine what special do you want. Is it values? In this case, maybe you want just values. We'll have the 450 pasted down there by clicking on values. If we want to have paste special in terms of formula, for example, we can have some figures here. so that this formula can be dragged down. So if you want to copy the formula, you just copy the 450, right click, and on right clicking, you now need to maybe click on that effect, which is formula, or you just go to paste special and click on the formulas, so that now the formula will be copied down. Again, I right click, go to paste special, and in this case, because we want the formula, I'll click on the formulas, and that formula will be copied down. That's what you call paste special. In a case whereby if you try to copy, it will not copy the formula. But if you want to copy the text, you've said you also choose the values. Now, this Control D, I just want to undo this back over here. This Control D, also you can use Control and that icon on the keyboard, which inserts the value above or of the above cell into the current cell. What do we mean by that? It becomes very easy. If I have, for example, 45 up there on cell C, P, and I want it to be copied down to cell C4, instead of all the way going to Control C, then Control V, you can see it has taken me about 4 seconds to do that. But an easier way of doing that is by pressing, I can press Control, and you can see it takes me a second to copy the data that is on the above cell into the lower cell. The same case can apply. Just Control D. Or if I press the Control plus the icon on the keyboard that is showing there, I'll press Control and that one, and you can see it copies the data above on the lower cell. You can bet with me that some of these shortcuts can really help you in doing a work or a task that can take you a long period of time in a very short time, because you just do Control D and the whole data will have been copied down. What about Control E? The next shortcut is Control E. And Control E, what it does is that it automatically recognizes the pattern and flash fills it. In other words, it recognizes what pattern you want to use, and it will help you to flash fill that kind of a pattern. Let me show you by demonstrating. I have a worksheet here I'm calling Control E, so that we can see how we can automatically recognize the pattern and flash fill it. Now, in this worksheet that I have here, I have the surname, the first name, the date of admission, and marks scored by various students. And I just want to do the first one. I want to have the first one. Let me just separate these names so that I have Samuel and Peter's on two different rows. So I can have Samuel there and Peter's on this side. I can have Adamson and Williams here. Margaret and Thunder can be separated as well, so that we have that. We have Joseph and Thaddeus. These are two names that I want to separate. And lastly, we have Peterson and Stockman, which I also want to separate like that. So here, now I want to write Samuel space Peters. So that in other words, I'm telling Excel, I want to combine. Let me know what people are saying. Someone is saying no sound. Is it true that there's no sound? Is there sound? Joshua, can you hear me? Joshua, can you hear me? Is there sound? Oh, there is sound. Thank you. Someone was saying there is no sound, so I was wondering. So I have Samuel Peters as two enjoined words now, but because of that, I just now want to use Control E. I press Control plus E, and you'll see what it does. I don't have to do for the rest. It just automatically and magically does the work for me for the rest of the mems. I can Control Z, that's undo, so that somebody can go with me slowly. We've written Samuel Peters. In other words, we have told Excel we want to combine Samuel and Peters as one, instead of having surname and first name in two separate rows. And after that, I hope you're also trying it from your end if you're using your laptop. So I do Control plus E, and you can see it automatically flash fills the rest of the data, so that even if I had data as long as 3,000 rows down, it will automatically fill for me that, instead of struggling to see how can I combine these data. So that is the magic Excel can do. And that is the importance of you understanding and learning on how to use Microsoft Excel keyboard shortcuts. If there's a question or something that somebody wants me to repeat as we proceed, you can let me know. I'll be glad to repeat whatever I have said, so that you can at least gain some knowledge on this. Of course, I know that one of the most important ones that you've learned is that Control E, as well as Control D, because I know the rest you know about them, but this one are standing out to be those shortcuts that will really help you in your day-to-day work. You know about Control F, which opens the find box, and thus it allows you to find a text or data that you want to find. So I can do Control F, and in this case, maybe I want to find option. So I'll write there, find what? Option. And it will tell me that we couldn't find that because maybe I had not selected the whole of it. So I can select and say find option. And you can see now it tells me that in cell B16, there is option. That option is in cell B16, and I can find if there's any other in other cells. So Control F finds a word or text that you would like to find in the workbook. Now, if you talk of Control G or you press F5, it opens the go-to window, which allows one to focus on a specific reference cell. In other words, if I do Control G, you can see it asked me reference. In this case, it's telling me the reference is cell D11, but I can decide and say, I want to go to another cell. The reference, for example, is cell D17. And it will, if I press OK, it will take me to cell D17. You can see it brought me here to cell D17. It's a way of moving to a specific cell with ease. Now, the other Excel shortcut that I would like us to learn this evening is Control H. Control H is an Excel shortcut which opens the go-to window and allows you to focus, Control H is one that opens and it's find and replace. It helps you to find and replace whatever you want to replace in a textbook or a workbook or worksheet. For example, assume that I want to find any word that is options and replace it with alternatives. I'll just come and do, I highlighted the whole of this text. I'll come and do Control H, and you can see a pop-up window will come here asking me, what do I want to find? In this case, maybe I want to find options. And what do I want to replace it with? Maybe I want to replace it with alternatives. So wherever there is options, I want to replace it with alternatives. Then I can say replace all. If I want to replace all of them, I'll say replace. And it tells me all done. We made one replacement. and that's okay. I can come back here and find that on row 16, that is cell B16, there was displayed the quick analysis options, which has been changed to alternatives. That's an easy way of, you can replace it even if it's within the whole workbook by saying find and replace all. So it is easy with you to do that replacement. Assuming that you had a client name, for example, ABC Limited, and you want to replace the whole of that data in one click, instead of you going from worksheet 1 to worksheet 10 to check whether the name ABC appears and you replace it to A to Z. What you do is Control H, and once you've done Control H, you will find whatever you want to find and replace it. Now, the next one is of course Control I, which does format cells, fonts, or font styles in italics. For example, if I press Control I on that row, you can see now my data in that row has been formatted in italics. Is my screen that clear? I can see Oppo A1K, you are struggling. Is it clear, or I increase the font? Do I increase the font? You can unmute.
It's clear.
Okay, thank you. So you do Control I and it will automatically italicize whatever data you want in italics. Now, another very important shortcut that I want to bold again is this one called Control K. Control K inserts a hyperlink in the active cell. Now, there are situations where you want to get to the various worksheets in the whole workbook that may contain so many worksheets by clicking or from one of the worksheets. For example, let me insert another worksheet over here and call it Control K. I can call this Control plus K. Now, from here, from Control plus K, what I want to do is I want to access agenda, keyboard shortcuts, and Control plus E from this Control K. What do? I'll come here, for example, and say Control K. So I'll press Control K. And once I press Control K, I'll say place in this document. And once I say place in this document, you can see it now tells me what is contained in this document. There is Control K worksheet, there's agenda worksheet, there's keyboard shortcut worksheet, there's Control E worksheet. Now, in this case, I don't want to have Control K again linked to Control K. So I'll say I want to go to agenda and I'll press OK. Now you can see there's a link here taking me to agenda. If I click on that link, it takes me to the agenda. Let me do for the other ones so that at least somebody who was not following can at least follow. Again, I'm pressing Control K. Let me see what people are saying in the chat. Loud and clear. It's clear. The screen's okay. Great. So I want to press Control plus K again, which is what I've done. And in this case now, what I want to insert is keyboard shortcuts. So I'll click on keyboard shortcuts and press OK. So if I want to move from this worksheet to keyboard shortcuts, I'll click on that link and it takes me to keyboard shortcuts. And the last one, because I think that one will now have made somebody understand it, again, Control K. Now this case, I want to have Control E added. I'll click on Control E and say OK. So that from here, I can now go to Control E from that worksheet. So if you have 100 worksheets, you can create a shortcut here whereby somebody can access the various worksheets in that workbook with ease instead of them scrolling from one worksheet to the other. It's easy for them to just come to that a shortcut and click, and it will take them to wherever they would like to go to. Any clarification I need to make on that? Okay. Then another important one is this one that helps you to create a table. The one that helps you to create a table, which is Control L or Control T. You can press Control L or Control T. You want to convert your data into a table. If you'd like to convert your data into a table, you can press Control T or Control L. Now let's convert this data of ours here into a table. I'll press Control T and you'll see what it does. First of all, it highlights the whole of the data because I've pressed Control T, and it asks me whether the data of my table is from A1, you can see it's cell A1 through E6, which is the case. Then it thinks that my table has headers. In case my table does not have headers, I'll untick the tick here that my table has headers. But in our case, you can see our table has headers. So then we can say, okay. And you can see my table has now been formed. But again, if I want to have my table having different formats, as we learn later on, I can change the format of this table by changing maybe the colors and what have you. If that's the case, if that's what I want, I can change them, but this is something we'll learn at a later time. Now, there are times when you may have created the table. There are times when you may have created this table like you have done by pressing Control L. I hope you're trying from your end, press Control L or Control T and see if a table is created. There are times when you have created this table, but you'd want it to revert to the normal data that has ranges without the table, because there are things that you cannot do with the table. It restricts you to do some number of things. So in that case, if you want to revert, you'll click on the Review tab. You'll click on the Review tab. And this is where now you can be able to change your table. You can click on the, just a moment. You can click on the Review tab. I don't know why it's not working for me, because I click on the Review tab and say that I want it to be in the normal range. I'll check where the issue is, but usually I'll click on this and it will take me back to the normal range, so that you get back to where or what data you had at the beginning. We'll check that. So we move to the next keyboard shortcut, because we've seen that one helps to create a table dialog box. Of course, Control N, everyone knows about it. Control N is the one that helps you to create a new workbook. If I want to create a new workbook from this one that I have, instead of closing down this workbook and going back to Excel, then say new workbook, I'll just Control N, and you can see a new workbook is created. Because there are times that I want to create a new workbook and use it while the current workbook is not closed. So you just press Control plus N. Control plus O opens a new workbook. It opens, not creates. So those workbooks that you have stored in your laptop, you can open them by pressing Control plus O, and it will take you back to recently, and also maybe ask you, where have you stored your data, so that you can open whatever data you want us to open. If you want to print, instead of going all the way to the Home tab and starting to look for where the print icon is, you just do Control plus P or Control plus F2. So if I do Control P, you can see it automatically takes me to that printer option. Later on, we shall look at how to customize this printer, the printer, so that it is well organized. For example, you can see in this case, it has 2 pages, but there's a way you can make sure that it does not roll into 2 pages by maybe, for example, doing scaling and saying you want all columns to fit on 1 page. And you can see it will fit there. And you can also look at the orientation that you want and many other things that we are going to look at later on when you're talking about printing. But in this case, we are looking at the shortcut print, Control plus F2 or Control plus P. Control plus F2 or Control plus P helps you to print. A simple shortcut which can take you a second so that you don't just rely on using the mouse every time. Now, if you want to display the quick analysis, this one also is another important one. You want to display the quick analysis option for selected cells that contain data, then you better do Control plus Q. I want to use this data that we have here so that we can do some things there. So I can do Control Q. Control Q. I think it's because it's a table. Let me create some random numbers here. Again, another thing I'm going to train you on doing is random numbers. You'll press equals to rand. It's one of the shortcuts that I've shown down there. So you can do it just now because it has required us to do. So equals to rand. There are times when you want to create so many numbers in a short time. So you can do rand, which gives you random numbers, including decimal points. You can do rand array, whereby you will specify how many rows and columns you want and what's the data range. And you can also do rand between. For example, in this case, let's do rand so you can see what it does. I just do rand and press start. You can see it also gives me numbers which even have decimal places. And I can autofill. I can also even autofill to the right. I have so many numbers in a few seconds. But I don't want numbers that have small places. So what do? I can undo the whole of that and just come and say equals to rand between. I want random numbers between 1 and, for example, 1,000. Sorry, I've done it should be a comma here, not the hyphen I've put. So it's 1 is the lowest or the bottom number, 1,000 is the top number. So you can see it gives me 516. Autofill down, and after that, I can as well autofill to the right. Within 2 seconds, I will have created a lot of numbers that are between 1, as I said, and 1,000. Instead of me typing them, how long would it have taken me to type all these numbers? Just because I know I can use rand, it becomes very easy. To make it even more fun, there are times when you want a specified number of rows and columns. In this case, you'll say rand array. And in this case, you can see it asks me the number of rows I want. I can tell it I want 6 rows. I put a comma. The next one it asks me, and this is optional, is the number of columns. I can tell it I want 4 columns. I put a comma. It asks me what's the minimum number that I want. The minimum number in this case I can say is 10. Then I put a comma. They ask me what's the maximum number. I can say is 1,000 as the maximum number. Then once I've done that, that's what comes up. You can see I have random numbers. Now, because I did not specify something, let me undo and show you. Excuse. I did not specify that I don't want them to have decimal places. I'll show you how I can do that. So rows, I want them 5 maybe. I want 6 columns, comma, I want the minimum number to be 10, and I want the maximum number to be 1,000, comma, I want it to be an integer. You can see now, put a comma there so that I can ask if it can ask me if I would like decimal places or integers. So in this case, I'll say I want integers only, and I'll enter. You can see they now have, I have a table which has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows as I had specified. How many seconds did that take me? Very few seconds. If you find that helpful and maybe I've taken you too fast, you can let me know so that I can repeat so that it's able or it's possible for you to do some of these things at your own time with ease. You can always unmute and let me know if there's something that I need to repeat. Have you mastered the rand array and random between formula? You can also even make a comment on the chat room. Now, having created this data, Alex says the base is okay, mastered. Great. So if this is the case, we have created this table. Remember, we were at the keyboard shortcut, and we were saying we want to look at quick analysis alternatives. So, and this one is done by Control Q. So I can do Control Q. When I press Control Q, you can see the pop-up window that shows the various tools I can use to do quick analysis. We have, if we want charts, there are data bars, you can see. If it's color, if it's icon sets, that's conditional formatting. If I want to use greater than, if I want to use top 10%, if I want to know which ones are top 10% and so forth. If I want charts, I can click on charts and I can choose which charts I want, and they'll automatically come up. Now, in this case, for me to do the charts, I'll need to do some data set here. Let's see A, B, let's say C, D, E, F. If you want the random numbers not to be changing all the time, you do Control C, that is copying, and you paste special, you paste the values. They will no longer be changing from time to time. And we can now have this data of ours in the borders. And I now want to do Control Q. Control Q. I want to do charts, and I can choose which charts I want to do. You can see automatically I'll draw a chart, but I can be able to now do the chart title and other chart items later on, or chart elements. So it's just as simple as that. You can do some quick analysis by Control Q. If you want those, it can do for you summation with a quick analysis. I don't know if I'm too fast. You can do Control Q again. You said formatting, you go to charts, whatever charts you want, it can come up. You can do totals. You see, if it's total you want, I click sum and it totals for me there. If I want average, I can click average and it will do for me the average and replace the totals down there. If I want count, I can do count and it will replace and tell me how many items are on row A, I mean column A, column B, and so forth. Quick analysis. I know there are things that you need to do many of the times, and you find that it takes you long to do them, a long time to do them. It's very easy to do this by quick analysis. That's for totals you need. You see, you can do even a number of other things there. For tables, you can convert this into a table by quick analysis again. You can do this into a table by quick analysis. You see, we have converted it into a table. You can even come and do spark lines so that it can show you the trend in that table or the data that you have. This is quick analysis. If you want to do it quickly, it helps you a lot. I don't know if that one is okay, and if we can move to the next type of shortcut you want us to learn. But at least you've seen how these shortcuts can really help you in mastering and using Excel, so that you don't take a whole day to do something that you can do in a few seconds. There are many shortcuts that we can learn, but for today, the ones I've highlighted here are the ones we are just going to look at. And as we look at the way forward. Now, the next shortcut, which is also very important, that's why I want to again bold it, is the Control R, which fills the row cell to the right with the contents of the selected cell. It fills the row cell to the right with the contents of the selected cell. What do we mean by that? Let me be, for example, here on cell C17 and press Control R, so you can see what happens. Remember, we said that if I want to copy whatever is on the above cell, what is on the below cell, if you remember here, if we want to copy what is on the above cell to the below cell, what we do is Control D. So that this fills the row, which is up there, I can do Control D and you see it fills there. But if I want to copy what is on the left so that it goes to the cell on the right, I'll just do Control R. It becomes very easy now for you to work on that. Control D, Control R. You can copy whatever is on the left to the right. You can copy whatever is on the above cell to the cell below by doing Control D. So these are shortcuts that can really help you in navigating through workbooks with ease. Control R fills the row cell to the right with the contents of the selected cell on the left. Again, Control R. You can see it can copy for us whatever is there. Control R, and you can autofill. All right, so we can just undo that. But we've said what Control R does. Control S, of course, you know very well, it helps you to save the worksheet, the current worksheet. We don't want to do that, just Control S and it will save for you. Control U underlines, or it adds or removes an underline to the contents of a cell, selected data, or selected range. So I can even highlight the whole of this data from here up to here and say Control U. It will underline the whole of it. And if I want to remove the underline, I can again do Control U, and the underline is removed. Control U to add, Control U to remove. Of course, we have used the paste icon or the paste shortcut, which means it's Control V. You copy something and you paste it elsewhere, which again works well with Control X. Control X cuts. That means removing completely an item from wherever it is so that you can paste it wherever you want. But Control C was copying, meaning you are leaving the original text wherever it is and taking a copy of the same to the next worksheet or workbook or cell or wherever you want to take it. Control W closes the open workbook. So if I press Control W, it will close this workbook that is open. You can try with yours. Just do Control W and it will close the worksheet that you have opened. If you do Control X, of course, we have said what it does. Control Y is redoing any undo. Let's say, for example, I want to write something here. So I copy this and paste it here. Then I undo it by doing Control Z. But I can still redo the undo I've done by doing Control Y. That means it closes the open workbook back. So Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo. Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo. Now, the last one that I want us to discuss on, which is again very important, is this one that you need to write down, Alt plus equals. Alt plus equals. You will find it very useful in so many circumstances. Again, using this data that we had over here, or I can just create a new data set by deleting this. I can create a new data set over here, again using the rand so that we can remember if we can be able to do that. Rand array, I want to do 7 rows, 6 columns. I want minimum is 10, the maximum is 500, and I want it to be an integer. Enter. There's something I put here that is making it not work. Great. This is what we have. Can I show you something? I know someone will want to do the summation of column A by saying equals sum. You highlight the whole of these and you say, and let me first remove the, let me make them static, not random, by pasting that. So it will take a long time. Someone will go ahead and let me show the ribbon. Someone will go ahead and say they want to highlight this. I don't know if they highlight the whole of this and go here and say auto sum. It takes you a number of seconds, you can see. But for me, having learned and mastered the use of advanced Excel shortcuts, what I do is just press Alt and equals. If your laptop does not have the, sometimes some of them you need to press Alt Shift equals. So the equal sign is a shift, but most of them you'll do Alt equals, and that is it. So I just press once, Alt equals, and you let me know how many seconds it takes me, Alt equals. Once I've done that, I autofill, and I do Control B. I'll have had, or I would have done the auto sum within 1 second. Even if it means I want to auto sum the whole of row 1, I'll come here and do Alt equals. It will sum for me the whole of that, and I'll autofill. With ease, it's able and it's possible for you to use those Excel shortcuts to really do a number of things in a very short while. It's possible to do a number of those in a short while. So to this end, I want to invite some of you to make any comments on how the session has been, because I just wanted us today to focus on just the shortcuts, and there are many shortcuts. We cannot exhaust them in just one sitting. But I just wanted to know if, have you learned something, and what do you think about the session? So someone can unmute and maybe tell us something about the session. There are many shortcuts that we can learn. In fact, there's one I have forgotten to let you know, even as someone unmuted to tell us, is when you want to, for example, sometimes you want to sign off an item and you want to put the date today in that icon. Someone will go a long way in saying today is on 7th of November 2021. And because, remember that because whatever is above is data in a number format, this one may even become a number sometimes. So someone will have to go again to general and set short date. It takes you a number of seconds. But for me, I'll just say control and use the semicolon. Control semicolon, it will give me the date today. If I want even the time, I'll say control shift so that above the semicolon is the colon now. So it gives me the correct time. So control plus semicolon gives me the date. Control plus the full colon will give me the time. That now it's 20:51 hours. Those shortcuts can really help you in getting to highlight data and work on workbooks and worksheets, however voluminous they may be, in a very short while. and they can take queue places. So to this end, I want now invite 2 or 3 people to make their comments on how the session has been, even as we wind up.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Juvenaris.
Okay.
Yeah, the session has been quite good, and I've learned quite a number of functions that I didn't know, a number of shortcuts. And I think if I do some more practice, I'm going to master them with the way you have really explained. And I think now from today, they're going to ease in my working with the Excel, and I'm going to become efficient. Like the one for the rand, for the one has really gotten me, the rand between, and also the one for control plus K, referencing other sheets, so that someone does not have to just be clicking manually. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. You can just click there, and it takes him to that sheet. For example, you can write statement of financial position, and it takes him to that sheet. So it was very helpful. Thank you, Mr. Samson Okari.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I can see Alex says I have handled Excel for some good time without knowing these important keys. I learned more than 6 shortcuts. Thank you. As from Alex, Emily says, thanks, Mwalimu. I've learned a lot. Control Q can be good data. Very helpful. Thanks, Anna, Samson. Great. So Alex wants to say something?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm also very impressed, although I was a bit late.
Yeah.
I think we should do more of this. This is a very insightful session.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward. I think we need to do more of this, Samson.
Okay.
This was a fantastic lesson, and we are looking more to it more forward.
No problem. Thank you very much. We can do more of this and see how we can it can be of help. Thank you very much, Alex.
Okay.
Alex Obora, you also raised your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Samson, for this particular lesson. I just learned about it in George's status, so I would like to know more about the sessions, how often we conduct these sessions, because they are very, very helpful. I want to be part of these sessions.
No problem, Alex. You can always reach out to me by using the contact details I've shared here. This is my number. You can always reach out to me and we can discuss more on this. But I'll be doing so many free sessions as we go ahead, and I'll also be rolling out a session that we now focus on a whole starting from basic Excel skills all the way to the advanced level skills, which I'll be rolling out in due time. But I want for now to do a few sessions that are free of charge to at least make someone learn a number of shortcuts, a number of functions, and so forth. Then after that, we can do others which can be even charged at a later date. So you can always have my contact and we can discuss more and more.
Yeah, very fun.
Okay, then I think we can call it a class to that point. Bernard says, Bwana Okari, I'm very happy for this session. However, kindly consider sharing this session that you have recorded so that we can do our own tests. plus as many I've indicated this needs to go on. Thank you very much. I don't know how I can share with you this Excel worksheet. Can I share it here so that somebody can download, so that you can also use it to do more practice and also look at the shortcuts. I'll also share the recorded video. So you need to maybe WhatsApp me you can WhatsApp me on this number so that I can share with you the recorded videos, because maybe you might have come from very different places that I cannot maybe share the recorded video because I'm not in that WhatsApp group or wherever you got the invite from. So you can always reach out on this number so that I can share. And I can also share this Excel worksheet on that WhatsApp that you would have texted me. Otherwise, enjoy your Sunday evening, and I'm glad that you honored this call, and we have done at least a small discussion on Excel keyboard shortcuts. If you master them, you'd have mastered Excel, because this is what I call the Excel guru starting point. You need to know the shortcuts, and this can take you places. You can really do volumes of data using the shortcuts. Thank you very much. I'll let you know when we'll have a next session by way of communicating again on WhatsApp and so forth. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Good night.
Good night.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Good night.